Welcome to an unforgettable journey that will take you from the heights of joy to the depths of sorrow, only to rise again with hope and resilience. Imagine a night of elegance, where a lavish gala at the Villanueva mansion promises celebration and delight. But beneath the glittering lights, a mother's love and a child's innocence are put to the test. From a moment of excitement and belonging to a confrontation that exposes deep-seated prejudice, this story captures the raw emotions of betrayal, courage, and ultimately, redemption. As the night unfolds, the power of standing up for one's dignity shines through, leading to a series of events that will challenge, break, and rebuild the bonds that hold this family together. Join us as we explore how adversity transforms lives and how love and justice prevail against all odds. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. At the Grand Villanueva mansion, an extravagant soiree was unfolding, with the garden illuminated by a soft, enchanting glow, while the strains of classical melodies floated through the air, enveloping the scene in an aura of sophistication. Among the glittering guests, Marta and her 10-year-old daughter, Luisa, who served the Villanueva family, tried their best to remain unnoticed, silently navigating the world of opulence that surrounded them. However, their evening took a devastating turn when a group of children, gathered near a sparkling fountain, beckoned Luisa to join their play. Filled with tender hope and a yearning for connection, Luisa timidly approached, only to be met with cruel rejection. Fernando, one of the children, looked her up and down with a sneer, his words cutting through her like a knife. "You don't belong here. You're not one of us." The sting of those words pierced Luisa's heart, and she quickly withdrew, her small frame trembling as tears welled up in her innocent eyes. Marta, noticing her daughter's distress, rushed to her side, her heart pounding with a mix of sorrow and rising fury. "What happened, my love?" she whispered, though her voice trembled with barely contained anger. Before the boy could answer, Mrs. Laura Villanueva, the lady of the house, swept in with an air of cold superiority. "Your daughter is disturbing the other children. This is not a party for her kind," she declared, her words laced with disdain. The humiliation Marta felt at that moment was like a flame burning deep within her chest. With a voice that shook but was resolute, she demanded, "What do you mean by her kind? Say what you truly mean. My daughter has every right to be here, just like anyone else." At that moment, Don Alvaro, the patriarch of the Villanueva family, interjected with a stern voice, "If they're going to cause a disturbance, they will have to leave." The atmosphere grew tense as all eyes turned to Marta and Luisa, the music abruptly silencing, leaving behind a heavy, oppressive quiet. The guests, now fixated on the scene, looked upon them with contempt, despite their innocence. Just as Marta and Luisa were about to retreat in humiliation, the grand doors of the mansion swung open to reveal a commanding presence. Don Ramon, a powerful businessman and the true master behind the Villanueva fortune, had arrived. His sharp eyes quickly took in the sight of the tear-streaked faces of Marta and Luisa, and his expression hardened with resolve. "What's going on here?" His voice, filled with authority, echoed through the silent room, stopping Marta in her tracks. Don Alvaro, suddenly pale and flustered, stammered, "These two are causing a scene," but before he could continue, Mrs. Laura Villanueva hastily interrupted, trying to control the narrative. "They are out of place here." Don Ramon's gaze moved from Luisa to Marta, and then to the Villanuevas, his eyes narrowing. "That child," he began slowly, his voice dripping with intensity, "is my granddaughter." His words crashed over the room like a thunderbolt, sending shock waves of disbelief rippling through the crowd. The reactions were immediate and profound. Don Alvaro and his wife exchanged frantic, panicked glances, while the guests whispered amongst themselves in astonishment. "We need to talk," Alvaro Don Ramon said, his tone leaving no room for argument, as he stared down his now visibly shaken subordinate. Marta, clutching Luisa's hand tightly, felt a flicker of hope amidst the turmoil. The evening, which had started as a trial by fire, had taken an unexpected turn. As Don Ramon steered Alvaro toward a secluded corner, Marta watched with a sense of guarded optimism, knowing that the power dynamic had irrevocably shifted, and with it, perhaps her and her daughter's place in this world. Don Ramon's voice was calm, yet every word he spoke was laced with a gravity that pierced the tension in the room. "Alvaro," he began, his tone measured but unyielding, "you have served me faithfully for many years. Never did I imagine that you would allow my granddaughter to be treated with such disdain under your roof." Alvaro, struggling to gather his thoughts, stammered, "Don Ramon, I had no idea Luisa was your granddaughter. If I had known, things would have been different. I swear it," but Don Ramon was not swayed by his excuses. His voice grew firmer, tinged with disappointment. "Must you know my connections to treat a child with the respect and kindness they deserve?" Alvaro found himself at a loss, his mouth opening and closing as he searched for words that would not come. Mrs. Laura Villanueva, sensing the growing tension, attempted to interject, but one look from Don Ramon silenced her instantly. The weight of the moment was heavy as the air became thick with unspoken accusations and the uncomfortable realization of their shortcomings. Seeing her opportunity, Marta stepped forward, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside her. "Let tonight serve as a stark reminder," she said, her words resonating with the assembled guests, "that every person, no matter their background or status, is worthy of respect and dignity." The room fell into a hushed silence, the weight of her words sinking in. After a brief pause, Don Ramon walked back to the center of the room, with Marta and Luisa by his side. The once lively music had ceased, and every gaze was now fixed on him. "What we have witnessed tonight is not just a failure of compassion, but a testament to the strength of a mother and the courage of a young child," he declared, his voice carrying both authority and deep emotion. "Luisa, my granddaughter, has shown more dignity tonight than many of those present." He then turned his stern gaze toward Alvaro and his wife, his voice laced with expectation. "I trust that you will deeply reflect on what has transpired and take immediate steps to rectify the harm that has been done. Understand that my continued support for your family will be reconsidered based on the actions you take from this moment forward." Alvaro, visibly shaken and deeply remorseful, nodded in agreement. "We will do what is necessary to make amends, not just because of our professional ties, but because it is the right thing to do," he vowed, his voice filled with newfound resolve. Marta, still wary of what the future might hold, wrapped her arms around Luisa, who clung tightly to her mother, seeking solace in her embrace. What began as a night of deep humiliation now ended with the possibility of change and redemption. However, unbeknownst to Alvaro, Laura, and those who had looked down on little Luisa, their lives were on the brink of being turned upside down by a cascade of consequences they could never have foreseen. The following morning, Alvaro sat alone in his study, his mind consumed with thoughts of how to recover from the public disgrace that had unfolded the night before. He knew that the blow delivered by Don Ramon could unravel everything he had worked so hard to build. Summoning his most trusted advisors, men known for their loyalty and sharp instincts, Alvaro pounded the table with frustration. "We must devise a strategy to regain control of this situation," he declared, his voice filled with urgency. "We cannot allow Don Ramon to dictate how we manage our family and our business. This is our legacy, and I will not let it slip through our fingers." His advisors, sensing the gravity of the situation, leaned in, ready to craft a plan that would not only restore Alvaro's influence but also protect the Villanueva name from further disgrace. Little did they know that the seeds of change had already been planted, and the course of their lives was set on a path they could never have anticipated. Laura, eager to fuel the flames of tension, leaned in and suggested, "What if we uncover something we can use as leverage against Don Ramon?" something so damning it will make him think twice before meddling in our affairs again. A sharp-witted advisor, sensing an opportunity, added, "Everyone has secrets, even someone as powerful as Don Ramon. We could dig into his past, find those skeletons hidden in his closet." Alvaro, torn between moral hesitation and the allure of reclaiming his power, finally conceded. "Do it. Uncover anything we can use. I will not allow this incident to tarnish our legacy or diminish our influence." While Alvaro plotted in the shadows, Marta was taking decisive steps to solidify her position and ensure that the foundation she was championing would have a lasting impact. She knew all too well that Alvaro might attempt to sabotage her efforts, especially after the public humiliation he had endured. Wasting no time, she convened a meeting with potential allies and sponsors to discuss the foundation's mission. "This foundation," Marta began, her voice filled with determination, "is not merely a reaction to the disgraceful events of last night. It embodies a deep commitment to eradicating discrimination and exclusion within our community." An influential businessman in the room, intrigued but cautious, asked, "How do you plan to ensure the foundation's effectiveness, particularly if you face opposition with unwavering confidence?" Marta replied, "We will operate with complete transparency, hold ourselves accountable, and work collaboratively with the community. Our goal is to foster unity, not to create enemies. But let me be clear, we will stand our ground against any forces that try to derail our mission." Meanwhile, Alvaro, with Laura quietly orchestrating from behind the scenes, authorized a comprehensive investigation into Don Ramon's past. A seasoned private investigator was hired to scour through Don Ramon's lesser-known records and connections to uncover any irregularities or hidden scandals that could be exploited. Weeks later, under the cover of darkness, the investigator arranged a clandestine meeting with Alvaro and Laura at a secluded location. The air was thick with anticipation as he laid out an array of documents and photos, evidence of questionable financial dealings and unsavory associations dating back decades. "These might be of interest to you," the investigator said, sliding the incriminating evidence across the table. "They're old, but they could certainly raise doubts about Don Ramon's integrity if made public." As Alvaro examined the documents, a sinister smile spread across his face, the wheels of his mind already turning with possibilities. However, before Alvaro could set his plan into motion, Marta received an anonymous tip warning her about the investigation. Although deeply troubled, Don Ramon was not entirely surprised by the underhanded tactic. "Thank you for the warning," Marta said, her voice steady. "I had a feeling Alvaro might resort to something like this. We need to act swiftly to protect both my reputation and the Foundation's mission." In a bold move, they decided to organize a press conference, aiming to take control of the narrative before Alvaro could weaponize the information against them. The plan was to publicly reveal the investigation in a way that would paint Don Ramon as the target of a malicious and unfounded campaign, turning the tables on Alvaro and positioning Don Ramon and Marta as figures of integrity besieged by envy and deception. The press conference was meticulously planned, with every detail carefully considered. As the media gathered, Marta stood beside Don Ramon, her face resolute, prepared to address the storm that was about to break. The room buzzed with anticipation as Don Ramon stepped forward, his voice calm but laced with a hint of righteous indignation. "In recent weeks, certain parties have engaged in an attempt to smear my name and discredit the work we are doing through baseless accusations and dredged up rumors from the distant past," he began. "But let me be clear, these tactics will not succeed. The truth will prevail, and those who seek to harm us will only expose their desperation and malice." Marta followed, her words measured yet powerful. "This foundation stands for justice, equality, and the dignity of all individuals. We will not be intimidated by those who fear change and seek to undermine our efforts. Our mission is too important to be derailed by lies and deceit." The press conference sent shockwaves through the community, with public opinion quickly turning against Alvaro and his allies. The very information he had hoped to use as a weapon now threatened to destroy him. The tables had turned, and the power dynamics were shifting once more, leaving Alvaro and Laura scrambling to salvage what was left of their influence. Meanwhile, Marta and Don Ramon, bolstered by their decisive action, emerged stronger, their foundation more resolute in its mission than ever before. The battle was far from over, but the tide had undeniably turned in their favor. On the day of the highly anticipated press conference, a bustling crowd of media representatives assembled in an expansive hall, their cameras flashing like bursts of fireworks in anticipation. Marta and Don Ramon took their positions at the podium, their faces set with resolve as they faced a sea of scrutinizing eyes. Marta, her voice steady yet imbued with a fierce determination, began, "We are gathered here today to address the recent allegations aimed at tarnishing Don Ramon's and the Foundation's reputation. We want to assure everyone that any attempts to undermine our integrity will be met with full transparency and unwavering honesty." Don Ramon, standing firmly beside her, added, "I have always strived to conduct my business with the highest level of honesty. Any past issues, if they exist, will be confronted head-on and addressed openly." The press conference made a powerful impact, shifting the narrative decisively. Marta and Don Ramon's forthright and principled approach eclipsed Alvaro's attempt to exploit Don Ramon's past. Public opinion began to tilt in favor of Marta's foundation and Don Ramon's commitment to fostering positive change. As the truth surfaced and Alvaro's machinations were exposed, he found his influence waning and public support evaporating. The opulence and power that once defined his existence began to crumble, leaving him increasingly marginalized and isolated. As Alvaro grappled with his diminishing status, Marta's foundation flourished, becoming a beacon of hope and progress. Luisa, once a victim of harsh humiliation, emerged as a symbol of resilience and the strength derived from standing up for one's rights. The events that transpired not only reshaped Marta and Luisa's lives, but also served as a profound wake-up call to the community, challenging prevailing attitudes and demonstrating the harsh realities of discrimination. The story of Luisa's courage and Marta's steadfast determination underscored the enduring importance of dignity, respect, and justice for all individuals, regardless of their background. Amidst the unfolding drama, a man with a bitter tone in his voice held out an envelope, stating, "We needed to know your price. I just wanted to ensure Don Ramon received what he deserved." Alvaro returned to the safety of his home, where he and Laura huddled over their next move. They resolved to act decisively, planning to release the damaging information just before the upcoming major shareholders meeting at Don Ramon's company, hoping to create maximum disruption and undermine Don Ramon's authority. Aware of the escalating conflict and the potential fallout, Alvaro met with the Foundation's board to express his concerns about possible retaliation and the need for preparedness. "We must be ready to defend not only Don Ramon but also the integrity of our mission," Marta emphasized, her resolve shining through her every word. Her commitment to safeguarding both Don Ramon and the Foundation's core values was palpable, setting the stage for an ongoing battle that promised to test their resolve and fortitude. Despite her youth, Luisa felt deeply intertwined with her family's challenges. Observing her mother's relentless efforts, Luisa resolved to contribute more actively. "Mom, I want to be involved," she said with determination. "Perhaps I could speak at the next public meeting to demonstrate how the Foundation is truly making a difference." Marta, touched by her daughter's bravery and commitment, embraced her with a warm smile. "Of course, Luisa. Your voice is just as vital as anyone's. Together we can confront whatever challenges Alvaro throws our way," with Luisa stepping into a more prominent role and Marta fortifying her alliances. The Foundation began to shine as a symbol of hope and resilience. Yet, the brewing storm of opposition threatened to test their resolve and unity more than ever before. The atmosphere at Don Ramon's company reached a boiling point as Marta, through exhaustive research and tense confrontations, uncovered a painful truth behind Don Ramon's resentment. During a crucial meeting with senior executives, Marta decided it was time to reveal this truth. "Don Ramon, the moment for the truth has arrived," she declared, her voice unwavering but heavy with emotion. Don Ramon, having anticipated this confrontation, nodded somberly. "You're right, Marta. It's time for everyone to understand what truly transpired." Marta then disclosed that years ago, Don Ramon's financial and personal decisions, though not illegal, had inflicted significant harm on Marta's mother and contributed to their estrangement. The revelation stunned everyone in the room, casting a heavy silence over the gathering. "I made decisions I believed were right at the time, but I now recognize the immense suffering I caused," Don Ramon confessed, his voice laden with a sincerity he had seldom exhibited. Though touched by Don Ramon's honesty, Marta understood this was only the beginning of a more profound process of reconciliation. "It's not just me who deserves an apology, Don Ramon. Many were hurt by your actions, but today I'm willing to collaborate with you to make things right," she replied, her tone both gentle and resolute. As Marta began working at Don Ramon's company, their relationship, while mending, encountered fresh obstacles. The company's established hierarchy posed significant challenges. Employees, accustomed to a rigid structure, resisted her authority, and superiors imposed unreasonable expectations. "Marta, we can't afford to wait indefinitely. Results are urgently needed," a department head remarked, his voice dripping with condescension. Despite the pressure, Marta maintained her composure. "Results will come when everyone here learns to collaborate effectively and respect leadership, regardless of its source." Her words reflected her determination to bridge the gap between tradition and innovation, underscoring her commitment to fostering a culture of respect and unity within the company. As resistance within the company continued to escalate, Marta found herself overwhelmed and exhausted. One evening, after a particularly grueling day, she confronted Don Ramon in his office. "I can't keep going like this, Ramon. If you don't address the company's toxic culture, it won't just destroy me, it will bring down everything you've built," she said, her voice cracking under the weight of frustration and fatigue. Don Ramon, moved by Marta's distress and recognizing the gravity of the situation, assured her of his full support. "You're right, Marta. I'll do whatever it takes to turn this around. I won't let them ruin you or our family." The crisis escalated when the company faced severe financial trouble due to a series of poor decisions by the recently dismissed corrupt executives. The situation, now public knowledge, drew widespread attention and scrutiny from the business community. In an emergency meeting, Don Ramon, Marta, and the company's top leaders gathered around a conference table, their faces marked by concern and urgency. "We need to act swiftly if we're going to save the company," Don Ramon said, his voice tight with tension. Marta, reviewing the financial documents, outlined critical areas in need of immediate attention. "We must implement an urgent restructuring plan, but more crucially, we need to unify our team. If we don't work together, all our efforts will be in vain." Despite the pressing need for unity, internal resistance remained a challenge. Joaquin, one of the most influential bosses, voiced his skepticism. "Why should we trust you, Marta? You lack the experience to manage a crisis of this scale," Joaquin challenged, his tone accusatory. Marta, meeting Joaquin's gaze with unwavering determination, replied, "I might not have the experience, but I have the determination and Don Ramon's backing. More importantly, I'm committed to doing whatever it takes to save this company and protect our employees' jobs." Don Ramon stepped in, backing Marta's stance. "Joaquin, if you can't support Marta's leadership during this critical time, perhaps you should reconsider your position. This crisis demands full commitment from all of us, and there's no room for dissent or hesitation." Don Ramon's support made it clear that loyalty and cooperation were now essential. The atmosphere within the company was fraught with tension, but Marta and Don Ramon pressed on with their restructuring efforts. The days turned into sleepless nights filled with high-stakes decisions. Gradually, Marta's tireless dedication and sacrifices began to shift some of the employees' attitudes. Those who had initially resisted began to recognize the sincerity of her commitment and the urgency of the situation. Marta's leadership, combined with Don Ramon's renewed focus and support, started to steer the company through the crisis, fostering the slowly growing sense of unity and resolve. As the company began to stabilize, Marta's and Don Ramon's efforts started to bear fruit. The restructuring plan took shape, and the company began to see signs of recovery. Though challenges remained, the resilience and cooperation within the organization were beginning to shine through, laying the foundation for a potential resurgence. As Marta prepared for her keynote speech at the charity event, the atmosphere seemed polished and sophisticated. The attendees mingled, their chatter punctuated by the clinking of glasses. Unbeknownst to Marta, the event had been meticulously orchestrated by Alvaro and Laura to expose any potential flaws in her past. When Marta took the stage, she radiated confidence and grace, ready to address the gathered crowd about the Foundation's achievements and future goals. Her speech began smoothly, highlighting the positive impacts of the Foundation and her commitment to creating meaningful change. Just as Marta reached a critical point in her address, the lights dimmed momentarily, and a series of slides appeared on a large screen behind her. The slide showed a series of old, compromising photos and documents related to Marta's personal history, accompanied by a sensationalist narration. The content was carefully selected to cast doubt on Marta's credibility and to suggest unethical behavior, aiming to portray her as deceitful and untrustworthy. The audience gasped, murmurs spreading throughout the room. Marta was momentarily taken aback, struggling to maintain her composure. Luisa, standing by her side, looked on with concern. Alvaro and Laura watched from their seats, their faces betraying a mix of satisfaction and anticipation. Marta, realizing the nature of the attack, took a deep breath and continued speaking. "It seems there's been an attempt to distract us from the important work we're doing here," she began, her voice steady despite the situation. "I want to address these allegations head-on. I am not perfect, but my commitment to this cause and my integrity are unwavering. My past, like everyone's, has its share of mistakes, but what truly matters is the work we do and the positive impact we create." She paused, allowing the crowd to absorb her words. "I stand here not to defend my past, but to reaffirm our dedication to creating a better future. The Foundation's work continues, and we will not be deterred by attempts to undermine our mission." As Marta concluded her speech, the crowd's reaction was mixed. Some were supportive, while others remained skeptical. The event was a clear attempt to damage Marta's reputation, but her resilient response and commitment to transparency helped mitigate some of the negative fallout. Backstage, Marta and Luisa regrouped, discussing the impact of the event. "We need to address this issue directly," Marta said, her determination unwavering. "We'll issue a statement clarifying the situation and emphasize our focus on the Foundation's mission. We can't let this setback deter us." Meanwhile, Alvaro and Laura regrouped, their plan to discredit Marta having had a less decisive effect than they had hoped. "We need to escalate our efforts," Alvaro said, his frustration evident. "We have to find something more damaging, or this could turn into a public relations nightmare for us." As the situation continued to evolve, Marta remained focused on her goals. She and Don Ramon worked together to reinforce their public image and strengthen the Foundation's support. Marta's leadership was increasingly recognized for its resilience and commitment, even in the face of orchestrated attacks. The struggle between Marta, Don Ramon, and Alvaro continued, each side maneuvering to secure their position. The fight for influence and integrity persisted, with the outcome hanging in the balance as they navigated the complexities of power, trust, and public perception. As Marta and Luisa addressed the public during the live broadcast, the weight of the situation hung heavy in the air. Marta's voice was steady but filled with emotion as she laid out the truth. "We have always operated with the highest level of integrity. The documents we are presenting today not only prove our transparency but also expose the deceitful tactics used against us." Luisa, by her mother's side, detailed the financial records and audit results with precision, demonstrating that every transaction and allocation was properly documented and aligned with the Foundation's mission. The visual evidence, including charts and comparative analysis, was compelling and straightforward. Marta's direct challenge to Alvaro and Laura was a defining moment. "You have attempted to undermine our efforts and distort the truth. This is not just about me or the Foundation, this is about accountability and honesty. We will pursue legal action against those who have tried to sabotage our work and defame our reputation." The live broadcast had an immediate impact. Social media buzzed with activity as viewers shared and commented on the evidence presented. Support began to rally around Marta and her Foundation, with many condemning the tactics used by Alvaro and Laura. The transparency of the Foundation and the integrity of its leadership became a focal point of discussion, and public opinion started to shift back in Marta's favor. As Marta and Luisa concluded the broadcast, the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. Messages of support and solidarity poured in, and many influential figures and supporters publicly backed Marta and the Foundation. The following day, the media landscape was abuzz with coverage of the live broadcast and the evidence presented. Alvaro and Laura's manipulative tactics were widely criticized, and their credibility suffered a significant blow. Marta's and Luisa's bravery in addressing the public directly demonstrated their commitment to truth and transparency, which resonated strongly with the audience. Determined to continue their fight, Marta and Don Ramon worked closely with legal experts to initiate proceedings against Alvaro and Laura. They filed lawsuits for defamation and false accusations, seeking justice and reparation for the harm caused. The legal battle was expected to be protracted, but Marta's resolve was unwavering. As the case progressed, the Foundation continued its vital work, gaining further support from the community. Marta's and Luisa's efforts not only restored the Foundation's reputation but also highlighted the importance of standing up for what is right. The struggle against Alvaro and Laura, though challenging, underscored the values of integrity and transparency. In the end, the story of Marta, Luisa, and the Foundation became a powerful testament to the strength of character and the fight for justice. Their perseverance in the face of adversity inspired many and solidified their place as symbols of resilience and truth. The ongoing legal battle was just one chapter in their journey, but it was clear that their commitment to making a positive impact would continue to drive their efforts and shape their future. With the new evidence in hand, Marta and Don Ramon prepared to take decisive action. They gathered a team of legal experts and public relations professionals to ensure that the evidence against Alvaro and Laura would be handled with the utmost care and impact. The plan was to present the secret recording to the authorities and expose the orchestrated scheme publicly. Don Ramon arranged a press conference where Marta and her legal team would reveal the truth about Alvaro and Laura's attempts to discredit her and the Foundation. On the day of the press conference, Marta, Don Ramon, and their team were ready. The atmosphere was tense but hopeful. Marta stepped up to the podium, her resolve clear. "Thank you all for coming. Today we're here to address the latest attack on our Foundation and our integrity." Don Ramon took the microphone and explained the situation, detailing the false testimonies and the bribery attempts. "We have obtained undeniable evidence that Alvaro and Laura have tried to undermine our work through deceitful means. They have attempted to manipulate and coerce former employees into providing false testimonies." Marta then played the recording of Alvaro's confession. The room was filled with shocked murmurs as Alvaro's voice was heard detailing the scheme. The recording was clear and compelling, providing a damning indictment of Alvaro and Laura's actions. The press conference had an immediate and dramatic effect. The story dominated headlines, and public opinion shifted strongly in favor of Marta and the Foundation. The media coverage was intense, with many outlets reporting on the deceitful tactics used by Alvaro and Laura. In response to the public outcry, authorities launched an investigation into Alvaro and Laura's activities. The evidence presented by Marta and Carla, along with the recording, proved crucial in building a strong case against them. Legal proceedings were initiated, and Alvaro and Laura faced serious charges, including conspiracy and defamation. As the legal battle unfolded, Marta's and Don Ramon's efforts to restore the Foundation's reputation continued. The transparency and dedication of the Foundation were reaffirmed, and support from the community grew stronger. Marta's leadership and the Foundation's resilience became a symbol of overcoming adversity and standing up for what is right. Carla, who had played a crucial role in exposing the plot, was protected and supported by Marta and Don Ramon. Her bravery and willingness to come forward were publicly acknowledged, and she became an important ally in the fight for justice. The legal proceedings against Alvaro and Laura were protracted, but the mounting evidence and public pressure led to a favorable outcome. Both Alvaro and Laura were found guilty of their crimes and faced legal consequences. The case served as a powerful reminder of the importance of integrity and the fight against corruption. Marta and the Foundation emerged from the crisis stronger and more united. The support from the community and the positive media coverage helped to rebuild trust and confidence in the Foundation's work. Marta's leadership was recognized, and the Foundation continued to thrive, making a significant impact on their mission. The battle against Alvaro and Laura had been fierce and challenging, but Marta's determination, the support of her allies, and the pursuit of truth had prevailed. As the dust settled, Marta, Luisa, and Don Ramon looked forward to a future where the Foundation's work could continue without the shadow of deceit. Their story became a testament to the strength of character and the enduring power of truth and justice. With the crucial recording clutched firmly in their hands, they boldly approached the authorities, their hearts pounding with a mix of anxiety and hope as they prepared to unveil the damning evidence of Alvaro and Laura's devious conspiracy. The prosecutor, visibly intrigued and visibly moved by the gravity of the situation, took the matter with utmost seriousness. This evidence provides us with a compelling basis to initiate a formal investigation, he declared with a resolute tone. Meanwhile, within the opulent confines of Alvaro's mansion, Laura's paranoia intensified, gnawing at her with every tick of the clock. The walls of their once invincible plan were crumbling, and a phone call from the prosecutor confirmed their darkest fears. "We are commencing an official investigation against you. You are required to cooperate fully," the voice on the other end conveyed with chilling finality. As the courtroom drama unfolded, the tension became almost palpable. Marta and Don Ramon, flanked by their legal team, confronted Alvaro and Laura, who struggled to mask their mounting unease. The room fell into a profound silence as the incriminating recording played, each voice an accusation echoing through the chamber. The prosecutor's voice cut through the stillness with unwavering conviction. "It is evident that Alvaro and Laura have sought to distort the truth and tarnish Marta's reputation. Such actions are intolerable." In a last-ditch attempt to salvage their crumbling facade, Alvaro, desperation etched across his face, made a frantic plea. "This is a setup. Everything has been manipulated," he shouted, his finger stabbing accusatorily at Marta and Don Ramon. The judge, however, remained impervious to Alvaro's desperate outburst. "Mr. Alvaro, the evidence is unequivocal. You will face the full weight of the law for your actions." With Alvaro and Laura's conviction for conspiracy and defamation secured, the spotlight shifted back to Marta and Don Ramon. The community, galvanized by the injustice they had endured, rallied around them with newfound vigor. Donations and volunteers flocked to their cause, breathing new life into the foundation. In a board meeting, Marta, her spirit rekindled, spoke with renewed fervor. "We have weathered a storm of unimaginable proportions, but it has only fortified our resolve. Our mission of inclusion and justice must now take center stage more than ever before." Louisa, beaming with pride, echoed her mother's sentiment. "Mom, I am so proud of what we've achieved. We've proven that truth and justice are invincible." Don Ramon, with a glint of determination in his eye, added, "What we have accomplished is nothing short of extraordinary, but it is merely the beginning. Our future is filled with promise." The foundation emerged as a beacon of resilience and hope, a testament to their unwavering spirit. Yet, even with Alvaro and Laura behind bars, their ominous shadow still loomed large. Ricardo, one of Alvaro's vengeful associates, vowed to continue the vendetta, rallying old allies and plotting his revenge. One evening, as the setting sun cast long shadows, Marta received a chilling anonymous call warning her of looming danger. "Exercise caution. Not all enemies have been vanquished," the voice intoned cryptically. Fearful for her safety, Marta gathered Don Ramon and Luisa to confront the imminent threat. "We cannot afford to let our guard down. We must be ready for anything that comes our way," she urged with steely resolve. Later, Marta's world was further shattered by a call from Luisa's school, reporting her daughter missing. An anonymous message demanded that Marta drop all charges against Alvaro and Laura in exchange for her daughter's safe return. In a whirlwind of panic and urgency, Marta and Don Ramon mobilized every resource at their disposal to locate Luisa. Ricardo, now holding Luisa captive, was confident his sinister plan would succeed, but Luisa, though gripped by fear, clung to hope. "My mom never gives up. She will come for me," she whispered resolutely. As Marta and Don Ramon raced to the coordinates provided by the sinister message, they faced a high-stakes confrontation. The rescue operation was executed with precision, culminating in Luisa's safe recovery. With Luisa finally returning to safety, Marta confronted a fresh wave of intense media scrutiny. At a press conference, she reaffirmed their unwavering commitment to justice despite the relentless challenges they faced. Meanwhile, in the dim confines of his cell, Ricardo, now in custody, began plotting anew, his mind racing with schemes and knowing that allies were still out there ready to support his quest for vengeance. Marta and her team, undeterred by the looming threats, fortified their defenses, resolute in their mission to safeguard their hard-won progress and protect their vision for the future. The obstacles seemed relentless, but they were resolved to face them head-on, united as a family. Just as Marta and her loved ones were struggling to restore a sense of normalcy, a shattering revelation struck them like a thunderclap. Laura had been released from prison. The shocking turn of events, orchestrated through a legal loophole and the influence of formidable allies, plunged their world into chaos. Don Ramon's mansion was rocked by this news, sparking a storm of disbelief, fear, and rage. In the living room, Marta, Don Ramon, and Luisa were gathered in anxious anticipation when Don Ramon's phone rang. As he answered, his face transformed dramatically, reflecting a profound mixture of astonishment and anxiety. Laura was released. Don Ramon's voice quivered with a fierce blend of anger and disbelief. "This can't be real." A sinking feeling gripped Marta's heart. Her instincts screamed that something was wrong. She turned on the television, only to be confronted with the sight of Laura emerging from prison, surrounded by a throng of reporters and beaming with an unsettling sense of victory. "This is a nightmare," Marta whispered, her voice cracking under the weight of her despair. With ruthless efficiency, Laura set her malevolent plan into motion. Her time behind bars had only sharpened her resolve. She was determined to wreak havoc on Marta and Don Ramon. Laura reached out to her network of allies, setting into motion a multi-pronged attack designed to dismantle their lives from every conceivable angle. At Don Ramon's mansion, security measures were intensified, but the pervasive sense of dread was impossible to ignore. They understood all too well that Laura was a formidable adversary, capable of pushing boundaries and exploiting every opportunity. That night, as the family attempted to rest amidst heightened security, Marta's cell phone rang, shattering the fragile calm. "Hello," Marta answered, her voice heavy with fatigue. "Hello, Marta." Laura's voice slithered through the line, laced with malevolence. "Just wanted to remind you that this is far from over. Relish whatever peace you can find while it lasts." A cold shiver cascaded down Marta's spine. The call ended abruptly, and she hurried to the living room, where Don Ramon and Luisa were wide awake, their anxieties palpable. "Laura just called me. She's threatening us," Marta said, her voice barely concealing her seething fury. Don Ramon's face tightened with resolve. "We can't let her cow us into submission. We need to outmaneuver her. Let's convene an urgent meeting with our entire security team and legal advisors. This time we must ensure every detail is addressed." Meanwhile, Laura embarked on her sinister campaign with ruthless precision. Leveraging her extensive network and clandestine financial reserves, she launched a series of calculated attacks aimed at undermining both Don Ramon's company and Marta's foundation. The damage was insidious strategic leaks to the media, deliberate acts of internal sabotage, and covert threats began to unravel the stability of their institutions. One morning, as Marta and Don Ramon were assessing the latest fallout from Laura's machinations, Miguel, the head of security, arrived with a grave expression, the weight of the situation etched deeply into his features. Miguel's expression was grave as he delivered the alarming news. "We have intelligence indicating that Laura is orchestrating a major operation. While we lack all the specifics, it's clear she's assembling a group of highly dangerous individuals," he reported, his voice laced with concern. Marta, her resolve unshaken despite the gravity of the situation, responded with steely determination. "We must ensure the safety of not just our family, but also our employees and everyone who relies on us. We need to escalate our measures." From her concealed hideout, Laura reveled in the unfolding chaos. She understood that psychological warfare was a powerful tool, but she was intent on delivering a decisive blow that would obliterate Marta and Don Ramon's world. As darkness enveloped the night, Marta struggled to find sleep. The burden of responsibility and fear for her family weighed heavily on her, yet amidst the shadows, a fierce resolve ignited within her. She knew surrender was not an option. The fight was far from over, and they were ready to confront whatever came next. Laura's release had triggered a state of high alert at Don Ramon's mansion. Marta and Don Ramon were acutely aware of the threat posed by a cunning and vengeful adversary. They had fortified their defenses, doubling their security measures and ensuring every family member was vigilant. Meanwhile, Laura busied herself with gathering her network of allies, each one more formidable than the last. One afternoon, as Marta was poring over the latest security updates, Miguel's urgent call interrupted her. "Mrs. Marta, we've just received intel that Laura has hired a squad of mercenaries for a direct assault. We must brace ourselves for a worst-case scenario," he said, his voice urgent and strained. Marta's heart raced as she processed the information. "Take every necessary action, Miguel. We cannot afford to be caught off guard." That night, the atmosphere at the mansion was thick with tension. Guards were deployed on every perimeter, and every member of the family was on high alert, prepared for any eventuality. Just before midnight, the silence was shattered by a deafening explosion, followed by a barrage of gunfire and desperate cries. "They've breached the defenses," Miguel yelled as he mobilized the guards to counter the assault. Marta and Don Ramon raced to the basement, where Luisa and other vulnerable family members had taken refuge. The air was charged with panic, but Marta maintained her composure, holding Luisa close as she strategized their next move. "Don't worry, sweetheart. We're safe here," Marta assured Luisa, her voice steady despite the turmoil outside. Meanwhile, Laura's mercenaries pressed forward, met with fierce resistance from the mansion's defenders. Laura, observing from a secure vantage point, wore a chillingly confident smile. She was convinced that her plan would finally bring about the ruin of her enemies. Don Ramon, gripping a weapon with unwavering resolve, joined Miguel and his team in the fray. Despite his age, his courage and determination remained unshakable. The battle raged fiercely, with casualties mounting on both sides. The mercenaries, well-trained and ruthless, pushed forward relentlessly, their assault relentless and brutal. Amid the cacophony of destruction, Marta made a resolute decision that would determine their fate. "We can't stay here, Ramon. We need to evacuate Luisa and the others immediately. There's an escape tunnel in the basement that will lead us to safety." Don Ramon, recognizing the urgency and wisdom in Marta's words, agreed. "Take Luisa and the others. Miguel and I will hold the defense here." With steely resolve, Marta ushered Luisa and the rest of the family towards the escape tunnel, a secretive passage that Don Ramon had meticulously constructed years prior for such dire emergencies. The tunnel, dimly lit and narrow, seemed to stretch into infinity, each step echoing with the weight of their peril. The ominous sounds of battle raged above them, every muffled explosion and gunshot amplifying their fear. Despite her anxiety, Marta's comforting presence gave Luisa the strength to press on. "Everything will be all right, Luisa. Just keep moving," Marta murmured, her voice steady though her heart raced. At the tunnel's end, they emerged into a secluded forest, their sanctuary away from the chaos. Marta ensured that everyone was safely out before they regrouped in a shadowy clearing, each family member catching their breath and steeling themselves for the uncertainty ahead. Meanwhile, the struggle at the mansion intensified. Don Ramon and Miguel fought with unwavering bravery, but the sheer numbers of their assailants were overwhelming. Amidst the chaos, Miguel made a crucial decision. "We need to retreat. We can't hold this position any longer." Don Ramon, his face smeared with sweat and grime, nodded in agreement. "All right, let's fall back and regroup with the others. We can't afford to let Laura win." With great effort, both men executed a strategic withdrawal, leveraging their knowledge of the terrain to evade the relentless mercenaries. They navigated through the darkness of the forest, aiming to reunite with Marta and the others. As they emerged from the trees into the clearing, Marta's relief was palpable. "Dad," Marta exclaimed, rushing to embrace Don Ramon. "I'm fine, Marta. We're all right," Don Ramon reassured her, his voice breaking with a mix of relief and fatigue. Luisa, filled with a flicker of hope, joined the embrace, her fears momentarily eased. Miguel, though visibly shaken, remained resolute. The family gathered in the forest's sanctuary and knew they had to stop running and confront Laura and her mercenaries decisively. "We need to dismantle Laura's network from within," Miguel declared, his voice infused with a steely determination. "I have connections who can help us locate her allies and neutralize them. We must act swiftly before Laura can regroup." Marta, her resolve hardening, agreed. "We can't let her continue her campaign of destruction." Exhausted but determined, Don Ramon supported the plan with unwavering commitment. "We're in this together. It's time to end this nightmare." Guided by Miguel's intel and contacts, Marta, Don Ramon, and their security team infiltrated Laura's hideout. The stronghold was heavily fortified, but the determination of Marta and her family was unbreakable. Through a series of calculated and daring maneuvers, they overcame the guards and penetrated deeper into the heart of the hideout. Finally, they confronted Laura, who awaited them with a chillingly triumphant grin, her plans now hanging precariously in the balance. As the confrontation with Laura reached its climax, Laura's taunts were cut short by Luisa's courageous act. Stepping between her mother and the threat, Luisa's bravery stunned everyone in the room. "Enough, Laura. We won't let you destroy us," she declared firmly. The bold move provided Miguel with the opportunity to disarm Laura and subdue her, finally bringing an end to the immediate threat. Laura was subsequently handed over to the authorities. This time, her crimes were undeniable, and she faced justice without the leverage of technicalities or corrupt influences. Her imprisonment marked a decisive victory for Marta and her family. While peace was a delicate and hard-earned prize, the sense of relief was palpable. Back at the mansion, Marta, Don Ramon, and Luisa gathered, their emotions a mixture of exhaustion and triumph. Don Ramon, his voice steady with pride, remarked, "We've been through so much, but we did it together. There's nothing we can't overcome as a family." Marta, looking at her daughter with immense love, added, "The most important thing is that we're together and safe. Nothing is more valuable than that." Months passed, and life began to settle into a new normal. The foundation, once again flourishing, became a symbol of resilience and renewal. The company, too, regained its footing, a testament to their collective strength and perseverance. Despite the scars left by the conflict, Marta and her family emerged stronger and more united than ever before. At a family gathering held in Don Ramon's mansion, they celebrated their recovery and the return of normalcy. The challenges they faced fortified their bonds and taught them profound lessons about family, resilience, and hope. As they shared a meal, Marta reflected on their journey and felt a deep sense of gratitude. She realized that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them with unwavering strength and love. As they looked forward to the future, the horizon seemed bright. With their family united and their spirits undaunted, Marta, Don Ramon, and Luisa embraced the new beginnings with hope and courage, ready to face whatever came next with the confidence that together they could overcome anything. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the trials and triumphs of Marta and her family. Their story is a testament to the unbreakable strength of family bonds and the power of resilience in the face of adversity. As we wrap up, we invite you to reflect on the key lessons we've explored together. What have you learned from Marta and her family's experiences? How do you think these lessons can be applied to your own life? We'd love to hear your thoughts and insights. Please leave a comment below sharing one important takeaway you've gained and how you plan to put it into practice. Your feedback not only helps us grow but also inspires others. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue bringing you stories and insights that matter. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.